founder of Village Capital, Ross Berry, wrote about as two-pocket thinking. You make money in one pocket and then you give it away out of the other. Sort of this like separation of what is generating wealth versus what is generating good in the world. And we've definitely seen an evolution in people moving away from, and it still very much exists in spades, but moving away from that two-pocket thinking as the impact investing field has grown. I do think, in the early days of the impact investment space, we were very focused on this idea of you can have impact on your market rate returns too. And that was a tactic to get the attention of sort of the mainstream investment space. But I think that it was also at the sacrifice of opportunities along the return spectrum that are really part of the opportunities that we're highlighting. I mean, this was across asset classes and growth profiles, but in the startup space, that led to a lot of folks, and even as I talked about sort of our background, really thinking about venture capital and what, sort of quote unquote risk adjusted market rate returns as like the way that we had to prove that this was an opportunity. And people are really shifting their mindset. I think that's happening mostly with next gen wealth holders, as the next generation are starting to take over the family offices and start to infuse that one pocket thinking into organizations. And I think we'll see this increase over the years. It's never moving as fast as I think any of us who are in this space would like. But I certainly have seen a shift when it comes to some of the next gen wealth holders who have come together there's a group called the Impact, and they have come together in a commitment to align their investment with their values, for example, and that's a group of next geners. In terms of where can companies find or these folks, I mean, to me, that's still definitely a challenge that we have to figure out. You probably know better than I that finding high net worth individuals and family offices can often feel like a bit of a black box if you're not already in the circle to try to discover folks. But I think we're seeing groups like as I mentioned, the Impact, but other groups emerge that are being more vocal and public about what they're looking for and looking for some of these alternatives to sort of the traditional, you make money over here and you give it away over here. So hopefully that helped answer some of the questions. And Nathaly, feel free to jump in on anything I missed.
Yeah, I would say maybe just one thing to add to complement that is I think different folks will have different risk appetites, of course. And I think something that can be helpful is kind of to map out and kind of going back to something I mentioned earlier is the different points of intervention that can take place. So maybe somebody will not be all in for investing a really innovative structure in a high impact social enterprise, but they might be more open to exploring maybe some like a step behind that. So influencing the ecosystem or the entrepreneur support organizations. So I guess in that sense, I would say, I think there might be this need almost to map the different points in which these types of individuals can come into the ecosystem and help drive change with different levels of proximity or risk aversion, if you will. So yeah, I think I would ultimately would say there's lots of opportunities for innovation, whether that's at the macro stage with just redefining how capital is distributed, and even in an individual transaction, and lots of things in between. And so kind of really trying to identify where folks' interest might lie and bringing them specifically into those points in time.